Hey gang, Nate Bear here, lead technical tactician for Monument Traders Alliance and Trade of the Day. And in this week's video, I just want to kind of touch base on the indexes and show you a couple of the key stocks that I'm watching, as well as update you on a fresh trade setup that I'm looking for entry this week. So if you want to follow along here, we'll start with the chart of the SPY. Let me get my pen going here. But the one thing, really two things I want you to notice here when we look at the SPY. Number one is that this candle right here is an interesting candle. This was NVIDIA's earnings day. It was kind of not really buy the rumor, sell the news, but it was really a sell the news kind of event, right? Everything gapped up. And if we look at like key stocks, Apple, sort of the same thing that day, a big red candle down. NVIDIA is the exception, right? They sort of had a really strong candle and then a follow through candle on Friday, but the Qs had a gap up followed by a move down, and then Friday everything just sort of shook it off. So it was like, okay, well, now we're right back to normal, business as usual. The bulls are in control, and until something shifts, that is not likely to change. However, I want to point out a couple of different things. Number one, interestingly enough, there's a gap here. This is from CPI. This is a CPI gap right here. CPI gap. This from this move into this move, and this gap started to close last Thursday, but it did not, and now we're right back up. My gut tells me, okay, that this gap is going to close. I'm not, there's another gap way down here. Will that gap close? Maybe at some point in the next couple of weeks. I doubt it, but I do think this gap is probably going to close. We're up here at, we were at +3 ATR. We've sort of gone sideways, and we've had this gap up followed by a push down. I think until we take out these highs, this candle is kind of the one that's in charge. And I would lean looking for a little bit of a gap close. Now, look, that's probably not going to happen when you have names like Apple that are up $3 pre-market, pushing towards the 52-week highs, pushing towards all-time highs, rather, right up and through here. And you've got names like NVIDIA, which are just absolutely on fire. It's going to be worth $5 trillion. We're going to blink, it'll be a worth $5 trillion company. It's wild. But from these levels, the Qs are up here at +3 ATR again this morning. Is the risk for another 4 or 5% pop, or maybe a 1 to 2% pullback? I think personally, you can see here too, there's a gap in the Qs. It's a little harder to see. If I zoom in, you can kind of see it. It's right here. It's this right here. I'll just pull this over. There's another gap kind of right through here in the Qs. I think the risk is lower, but it's really, really hard to fight this trend, right? And not something that I'm necessarily interested in doing. So what I'm doing is I'm just going to find long setups. I'm going to play them to the long side until it stops working in a meaningful way, right? And even if we do get a pullback, let me be totally clear. I'm a buyer on that dip. I'm not looking at any pullback as a reason to say, hey, you know what, the bull market is now toast and we need to get bearish for the next 6 months to a year. It's going to be viable in all likelihood. So anyway, that's kind of where I'm at overall. One that I'm looking at here is Post. This is a strong stock. If I change this over to the weekly chart, you can see, this is when did they IPO? Back here in 2012, and it's been pretty much straight up. I mean, maybe not straight up, but it's a very solid, strong stock. And if we look at this daily chart, again, it looks pretty solid up here. We've got just a really nice big consolidation pattern. We've got a daily squeeze. We've got earnings, which are just behind us. So what I would like to do in Post, POST here, is there's no reason to get, short dated. This one only has the monthly options, which for me is fine. But I'll go all the way out here into July, and what I'll do is they're a little bit lightly traded, so not a name that has a ton of volume like an AMD or Apple, NVIDIA, not one of these big huge volume names. But what I'd like to do is just come out here and very simply pick up a couple of these $100 calls. Now they're in the money, and that's fine. They're a higher delta, and that's fine too, because Post isn't one that moves around a ton, right? If we look at the ATR on Post, the ATR is only $1.62. So basically I want to come out here and I want to buy some of these $100 calls all the way up into July in an area around the point of control, which is, what is this level? It's going to be around 105 down to the 55 EMA, which is around 104. So entry between 104 and 105. And then I'll simply be looking for a push higher up into the fib targets up and through here, which are around 110. Okay. Stop for me would be a daily close below this 55 EMA. So we could say give it to 103. Give it to 103 on the stop. And that's kind of what I'm looking for. So entry between 104 and 105, stop on close under 103 and target 110. And again, going all the way out to July and just picking up some of these in the money $100 calls. All right, that's what I've got for this week. I hope it helps, and I'll talk to you guys soon. Have a good one.